The first question that I am going to be discussing is question 2. Why is voting a controversial topic in American politics? Um, my first piece of evidence is from Vote Down Your Crazy Uncle, lines 16 through 20. The most deeply partisan and ideological groups also are the most likely to vote, pay attention to politics, and to be invested in the outcome of 2018 congressional elections. In addition, these highly partisan ideological groups also donate money, contact elected officials, and discuss politics with others at the highest rates. Seeing that the most extreme people from both sides of our two-party system in American politics, these people have the most impact on who the candidates are that we get to vote for. This can be controversial because a lot of those people obviously want to keep their power to themselves, but then the majority of people want to be able to vote to make more of a moderate candidate. And it's hard with politics because all they want to do is keep their power and keep their extreme party agenda as the base, or to keep that in power and keep those ideas in Congress. My second piece of evidence is from Voter Suppression or Voter Expansion, lines 156 through 160. Republicans in states like Arizona, Florida, and Georgia, where legislative political power is still in the hands of Republicans, but population growth and thus new voters tends to be in Democratic areas. Voter expansion laws may not be critical to Democratic victories in California or Massachusetts, but they may help keep Virginia Democratic in the presidential election. This kind of goes back to the same idea of like the parties want to keep their power in their hands all the time, and these voting laws are hard to find a middle ground on because one side with the Republicans making more strict voting laws will benefit them, but then opening up voting laws for Democratic areas where there's more population will be beneficial to them. So it's hard to find any middle ground and makes it a pretty controversial topic, especially for when many of the extreme people are the officials that we have elected. It's very difficult for them to find any common ground or come to any conclusion that actually benefits the people. The second question I'm going to answer is question 3. What ideas are most compelling about voting? My first piece of evidence is from Vote Down Your Crazy Uncle, lines 69 through 72. In recent congressional and state legislative elections in California, extremist candidates who in the past would have easily won their party's nomination in closed primaries have been forced to moderate their message in order to appeal to a wider voting bloc, which decides the outcome of open primaries. I really like this idea. I was actually discussing this with some of my peers the other day about the open primary, seeing that I got to vote on this topic specifically. I liked the idea of opening the primary to sort of even out the candidates and make them have to tone down some of their extreme message to appeal to a wider audience of people that will vote for them and maybe make them more moderate instead of allowing these super radical people from the left and right to be in places of power. And my other piece of evidence is from an idea for electoral college reform that both parties might actually like. Lines 218 through 222. Or states could adopt the kind of instant runoff voting procedure that Maine recently employed successfully for its congressional elections. Voters can rank their preferences among multiple candidates so the computer can tally which of the top two finalists receives a majority once all the lower ranked candidates are eliminated. I was discussing with my dad some of the problems with the Electoral College because it's hard because it doesn't necessarily represent the popular vote of the people, but it does represent the more widespread counties of America, I would say. I think there could be a better system made that will benefit both sort of groups of people, the people living in more rural areas and the people living in some of the major cities. I like this idea of getting to like rank candidates. I think it can be helpful to maybe distribute electoral votes in a different way instead of this kind of like winner takes all rule. I think that doesn't really give everyone a fair shot of having their vote feel equally represented in their state.